Hi guys, thanks so much for joining me today. It is Robson, and today we're going to be doing a Shop with Robson update as well as a Q&A. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I almost published this close to publishing a video where my makeup was actually horrific. Like, I'm a little shook myself. So I played myself that day with my makeup and I almost uploaded the video. So that's what's taken longer, because I had filmed the video. The whole time I edited it, I was sitting there and I was like, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then when I actually showed someone the video, they were like, no, don't do it to yourself. Just refilm it. So I'm refilming it, and that is what I'm doing today. So I'm pretty much just going to give you guys an update on everything that's been going on with my brand. I get so many questions all the time about my brand, about how I'm doing, what I'm doing, and I tend to just direct people to the first two videos that I have done here on my YouTube channel, where I spoke about starting an online store. I spoke about all my different processes and how I go about things, but some things have changed, and I am doing some things differently, and I've also evolved and grown so much. So I just feel like it was time for an update. So if there was something that people want to know that's not in those videos, then I'm kind of like addressing it here today. But definitely, if you have not seen those first two videos, I definitely suggest that you check them out, because they are very helpful. And that is the aim here on this channel, is obviously just to help and assist you guys. As always, leave any comments down below if you've got any questions and you want any help with anything. I'd gladly answer that down below. So keep on watching if you want to see more. Okay, so first up, let's chat about some of the things that have changed within the business since 2017, when I did the first two videos. So one of the first things is that we are now doing or taking pictures of all the size models that we offer. So I go from extra small to extra large, depending on style. And every time we shoot, we're going to shoot that item on every single size that it is available in. And it does cost us more money because we use more girls and it takes us more time in the studio. But it's definitely something that I'm very proud of, because I have always wanted women to come to my site and to wear my clothing and feel comfortable and feel confidence in it. And I think that is, for me, like, that's what my brand stands for. And I just, if a woman can identify by seeing someone else her size wearing a garment, I think that's important. I mean, I have to point out that, like, I'm a size small, and my model would be a size small, but we're not the same, you know. So you're never going to find someone that looks exactly like you, but I feel like it is a representation of your body type, and that is what is important. And I just, you know, that for me, it's just like, oh, my heart like warms so much when I talk about it, because it's something that I truly believe in. And as a brand, I'm just like, I'm so proud of it. I don't think people give me enough credit for that, but I mean, I'm not out here doing it for credit. I'm really out here doing it for the people that are shopping on my site, and I just want women to feel good and confident wearing my clothing. And I think that's important. So I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. Another thing that we do is we've launched an app. We launched an app. So I actually launched the app at the end of November 2017, so not long after those videos were done, and it was slow. Do I recommend that people start apps? No, I don't really recommend it. It's just that I'm in this now and I've created this app, so I'm kind of just like rolling with it. I don't feel like I needed the app. I think it was a nice concept. I think it was a little too soon, because if anything, still we're not getting as many people shopping on the app as we are obviously getting people shopping on our website. Anyway, so the app, though, we are obviously doing things to drive sales to the app. I'm launching some merchandise exclusively to the app. Also, like, when we first launched it, like, I liked the app. It was cool, and it's like, oh, you know, it was nice and everything. But like, within like the first 6 months of having that app, it was like, it was a little bit of a nightmare. And it was the first app that our developers had done, And then it was also, there was just like some bugs and things that just wasn't working right, and I was not happy with it for a very long time. So we redid the app last year, like late last year, December 2018, and it's much better. Like I'm very happy with it now. I changed the overall look of the app. So I changed the overall look of the app here. So I really love, obviously, the way the app design looks now. For me, it's a lot sleeker and I really love it. One of the big things is that when you first download the app, it asks you to select your size. And like, I'm a size small, so my app is set at size small. And then when you click into an item, it will take you to someone wearing the size. So this is Danny, the model Danny, and she's wearing a size small, and that's my size. It's actually the exact item I'm wearing right now. Danny's got a bigger bust than me, but it's so nice still to see a girl wearing the same size that you would wear. I think that's important, and I feel not so much for the girls that are of smaller sizes. I think for the women that are, you know, of bigger sizes, like we're so used to seeing people that are my size, people that are smaller than me, people that are a size medium. It's normal to see those people. It's not necessarily normal to see an extra large girl or large girl modeling in an item on a website. So I think for me that is just so important, and it's something that I'm very proud of. As I said, you know, for me the app is not really gaining as much traction as I would like it to. If you don't have our app, please definitely download it. I will leave a link down below. It is available on Android and on iOS as well. It is a free app, and you pretty much just, you can use it to shop. We've also got our app 20 discount on your first order via the app, and you can use that discount. So definitely download it if you haven't downloaded it already. So another thing that I am doing differently within the business, or that has changed, was that I am booking a lot less fabric. So at the time of those first videos, if you have not watched them, please go watch them. I was obviously booking like 1,005 meters of fabric for myself. That is when they are weaving up the fabric for you. They are dyeing it specifically to a specific shade that you want. You're not like choosing from a color card, you know. This is specific for you. And I just ended up, I'd have to do so many pieces of the same fabric, or I'd end up with so much fabric sitting in the warehouse and just like collecting dust, that I just decided, you know, maybe this is not for me. And I know people were buying like rolls of fabric in the markets in China and stuff, and I won't lie, I kind of frowned upon it. I was like, oh, okay, this is definitely not for me, without even trying it. And when I did actually test it out and I tried it, in the summer of 2018, I tried it out with the tropical kimono print, and I'm gonna insert a picture. That was just like in the market doing what I do, it's my job, you know, and I was like in there, and I was like, I saw this print and I was like, oh, this is interesting, like maybe I can, like, you know, maybe I can do something with it. Let me try and import this fabric. So imported it, and I brought it back to SA, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do one standout piece. This is gonna be like my focal points. I'm gonna do a lot of planes and everything. And then I ended up actually just taking plain scuba that we had sitting in our warehouse. I took plain scuba and I sublimated it. We sublimated it with the same print as the woven fabric that I found in China. And then I made like these cute other pieces. And for me, that was just like such a turning point for me, where it turned my whole opinion around. And I was like, whoa, this is actually awesome. This could work really well for me. And so I did that. And I feel like my summer range last year, that 2018 summer range, that campaign, it was hot, it was fire, it made me feel summer, and that's what I wanted. I wanted you to feel summer, you know. And I think it was just like super amazing. I love the pieces that were there, and we also did like this orange spot, which was super cute as well. Again, that was something I sublimated locally. So I literally just took cream scoop and I sublimated the print on top of it, and it worked out so beautifully, and I just loved everything. So I think the big lesson for me from that whole thing was that don't knock something unless you try it. I tried it, and it actually worked out really well for me, because if you saw like what I've been releasing now, like my winter stuff, guys, like if you saw the latex, the animal print, the teddy coats, all of that, it was so hot and so fire. And I'm not sitting with any of their fabric now, sitting in the warehouse collecting dust. Do you know what I mean? I'm doing the units that I'm doing, which by the way are 128 to 144 around there. That's per style, per color. And I'm not sitting with extra fabric, and fabric is money sitting on the shelf, and I'm not doing that because I'm buying specifically how much I need, and that's all I'm using. You know, I'm not buying like 1,000 meters and only using 300, you know. So for me, that is just like being such a turning point for me, and I feel like it gives so much like depth and character to my product. So I'm super excited that this is the way I've been doing things, and it's the way I'm going to do things going forward until things change, until, you know, my units increase and things, and I can afford to use one fab 1,000 meters on 2 styles or something. Do you know what I mean? That has been a big turning point for me. So also, I am in a pretty stable situation again with factories. If you remember, back in that time, I was also in a stable situation. But not long after that video, like things went downhill. After summer of 2017, things like I started off the first 6 months of 2018 on such shaky ground. I honestly thought, here we go, my brand is not going to last. I honestly, I was on shaky ground. It's because I didn't have anyone to manufacture my product. So the relationship was just so strained with the previous factory that it set up a little space in their factory with a couple, like 8 machinists and stuff, and they had set up a space within their factory doing my work, and the relationship was eventually strained. You know, if I wasn't happy with quality, I would send it back, and you know, it was just this like whole thing where it's like this tug of war. But you know, I wasn't happy, they weren't happy in the end, so it was just like, you know, they were like, they're not making money from this whole thing, they don't want to do it. So I was like, okay, I was like, you know, whatever, I'll figure it out, because you know, I don't want to give my customers bad quality stuff, and if that's your attitude, I don't want to work with you, you know. So it was just like a very strained relationship, and it eventually went downhill. But I'm in a very good situation now. So we are partnered with a factory in Swaziland, and we've negotiated that they can like set up a little section for me within the factory that is just for me, that does my little, you know, 120, 140 units. And they've got like 4 or 5 machinists there and a supervisor, and my stuff gets made there. I also do some stuff here in Durban, it just depends. There's one guy that also works with us, that every now and then he kind of does me a favor, you know, if you beg him, he like every now and then, like he'll do that favor kind of thing, but not often, because he does not want to do 100 units, he wants like thousands of units. So he's like really like going over and above, like, and beyond to help when he does that, but it's not often. So my stuff is either made basically in Swaziland majority, but some stuff in Durban as well. Obviously everything in terms of like the patterns and everything is still in-house. It happens in Durban in our office. That hasn't changed if you watch the first video. But I'm definitely in a more secure situation right now. Like definitely I feel secure. I feel like I'm getting the right amount of product out on a regular basis, and that's important to me, you know, to maintain that I can give my customer consistent product every single month, you know. Do you remember when I first like dropped products? I was dropping my first range. My first range was 12 pieces. 6 pieces were made in China, 6 pieces were made in Durban. And when I launched in May of 2015, I didn't launch any more product until August or September of 2015. I didn't know. I didn't really, it was very poor planning, and I didn't know what was next for me. And so it took me months before I launched any product. So for me to even just be launching product bi-monthly or even once a month, for me that's like really awesome, because I also don't want to sit with too much stock, because sometimes also you do sell out on stock. No one pre-orders with me. I basically decide I'm doing this amount of units, and if it sells out, it sells out, awesome. If it doesn't, you know, you're kind of just like gonna eventually mark the stock down or whatever. But you know, sometimes the product is really well received by the customer, sometimes not so much. It just kind of depends, you know, it is fashion at the end of the day. So it's a little bit of a gamble every now and then. The first question is, would I suggest any local CMTs in Durban? So basically the one guy in Durban that I do work with, he would kill me if I even tried to like give his name and number to people, because that's not what he's looking for. He's definitely not looking. He's more geared up for like big retail chains and stuff. He's not geared up for, you know, small designers and stuff like that. So I'd get in such big trouble there. And then obviously the factory in Swaziland is doing this specifically for me. They do not work with any outsiders. So they are a no-go for you too. However, my friend at Caper in Cape Town, Caper Activewear, Mina, who is amazing, she's one of the nicest people. She actually, when I was going through some stuff on social media, back when that other factory was like screwing me over in 2018. So she had actually found people on Google for me. And she's like, go see these people. Like, I found them on Google. Here's the details. And guys, you can find people on Google. Like, I never really knew you could find factories on Google. Anyway, so these people on Station Drive, they're just off Mgeni, sewn clothing. Now, can I tell you guys something? I went to this factory, and the factory is beautiful. The factory is clean. The quality from what I saw while I was there was awesome. It is a family-owned business, and I was just so impressed. I did find them a little expensive for my pricing. I do still like to keep my stuff as affordable as possible, especially because, you know, if my cost price is higher, that means my cost price to like my stockers, example Zando, is higher, which means the overall retail price that we're selling it at is higher. And so I want to still keep my costs quite affordable for my end customer. So I did find them a bit expensive for me, but obviously I don't know what your pricing is like or anything like that, so definitely check them out. And guys, Google, like, I was like shook when like small run CMT, and you can find that on Google, like, mind blown. Okay, the next question is, a CMT damaged 300 garments that are now unsellable and they want full payments. So this is such an awful situation to be in. I do not envy you. This has actually happened to me with one factory in particular that it happened with, and I had 2 track bottoms there, and then I also had a dress there. Ooh, what a shit show. This has happened to me, and it's not a nice situation to be in. Basically, most of those orders were reject, and I eventually had like, out of like a dress of, I think it was something like 180 units, I had like 30 or 40 units that were actually sellable after that. And the fabric was so expensive, and it was like a full lined garment. So it was like so crazy. And I do sympathize obviously with your situation. I don't really deal with CMTs like one-on-one myself, but our production team does. And I spoke with our production manager, and she was like, basically, your best bet is not to pay them for the full amount. You have to just negotiate and come to some agreements. She's like, that is you can't obviously pay them, because that doesn't make sense to pay the full amount of money for garments that are damaged that you will never get the full worth out of. But even if you can just get some money, make up some money basically for even just the loss of fabric or something, because you're eventually going to have to either sell it as rejects or something. There are obviously people that buy rejects and things like that and resell them, so that could be an option for you once you eventually get the garments from the factory and negotiate that price of how much you're going to pay them. But definitely I say you cannot pay them the full price. That makes no sense. But at the same time, like, you don't want to draw out, and you don't want to pay them nothing, because you can obviously also end up in court over something like that, and you don't want that situation as well. So the next question says, when you started, how did you come up with the niche market you decided to put your brand in? So for me, when I first started in 2015, I started with 12 pieces, as I said, and I really just started with, I marketed my range as being, you know, pieces that I felt you should own in your closet at that time. So there was like a sexy little black dress. There was a beautiful double-sided scuba coat. There was this cute little trumpet skirt. There was like a leatherette jacket and a leatherette skirt, and, you know, this nice jogger, and there was like some cute pieces, and I literally just marketed my brand like that. It was just stuff that I just felt like you should be wearing right now. You know, it was like cool pieces that I wanted to wear. There was some sequins in there. You know, it was really cute and fun, and that's pretty much just how I decided. Like, there was no like thinking of niche markets and all of that. Like, honestly, it was literally just me just being like, okay, this is kind of what I want to do. So the next question is, how far in advance do you plan your range? So I plan my ranges anywhere from like 3 to 6 months in advance. For example, you know, all the latex animal print stuff that you guys would have seen in like early, like April, May-ish, that was all pretty much finalized by November. All the fabrics were booked. They would have been shipped like in December and gotten to South Africa before Chinese New Year in January, or during Chinese New Year, sorry. And yeah, so I planned it very much in advance. So by the time the fabrics got to SA, I was just ready to make final samples and then get into production before, obviously, like, yeah. But obviously, if you don't have those sort of problems, you don't have to work with my lead times. These are just my lead times that I work with. And it works for me because I obviously am shipping fabrics from overseas. So that alone is a month, you know. So it does take time, and obviously you want to ship all your fabrics for the season at one time. You don't want to ship it in like pieces, basically. So we wait until we have a sea freight shipment, and then that's how I pretty much do it, because you also don't want to be doing an air freight shipment, which is going to cost a lot more money on fabrics. So the next question is, do you sample a design in a few different fabrics to see which one it suits best? No, I don't do that. I generally, if I start with a fabric, I will come up with styling based on the fabric, and if I start with styling first, I'm experienced enough to know how certain fabrics will work in certain styling. So for me, because this is what I was like, I've been trained to do, this is my job, it's what I've been doing for years now. I'm pretty experienced when it comes to that sort of thing, so I know what's going to work. It's not to say I don't change my mind about something. It doesn't mean that I will not change my mind. It just means that I do know how it's gonna work. It's just that sometimes maybe I just don't like it anymore, so that's why I would change my mind. It's not because it's not working for that reason. What advice do you have for small designers that cannot travel to China for next season's trends? I really just feel like I don't travel to China for next season's trends. I'm lucky enough that I get to like experience places like New York and Milan and London and those places for my job, because I do sample shopping and trending in those places often for my job. But I mostly I'm Instagram, guys. Like, my customer, I love to like see what the people are talking about on Instagram, what the celebrities are wearing, like what's happening there. That's where I look for inspiration. The other day I was looking at Fran Dresser. That's who I was looking for inspiration from. And I think that, you know, it's not always about looking at what is coming next. Sometimes it's also looking in the past and seeing what happened before. But I think just using the internet is good enough. I don't think you have to travel. Don't ever put yourself under that pressure and incurring costs that you cannot afford to do those sort of things, because it's really not necessary in my opinion. As I said, I do get exposed to those things because it is my job. But even if it wasn't my job, like, honestly, I just feel like sometimes it's just not necessary at all. How did you gain suppliers abroad? So basically for me, because of the job that I have as a merchandiser, I am, you know, around textile mills, and I go to meetings with people, agents and things like that. So I am exposed to a lot of things, and because of those relationships with the larger business that I'm employed by, I kind of can be in those situations. Like, if you get what I'm saying, it's like some of those people wouldn't even give me the time of day had it not been for the big business that I'm a part of. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I did gain some suppliers. In the markets and stuff though, it's just, you literally just walking the markets and finding people and finding fabric and finding trim. So you're not really gaining supplies in any like specific or strategic way. I always suggest Alibaba, guys. Alibaba is a great place if you want to look for things. So definitely check that out, because a lot of like wholesalers and a lot of like agents that specialize in certain textiles and things. So just search like what you're looking for on like Alibaba, and it could be like pretty helpful for you. Next question, do you sketch yourself or do you work with other designers? So I don't really sketch, and I don't really think that sketching is a necessity. You know, I think there's apps, there's the internet, things like that. So sometimes I do sketch. I'm not knocking sketching. It's just that for me, sketching is not like an essential thing. I do sometimes, like Mbali, she does like the tech packs and stuff like that. That goes to pattern maker. I sometimes, like, if I have something, like I'm seeing something in my head and I'm trying to explain it to her, but you know, sometimes I'll do a little sketch, sometimes I will Google and Google and Google until I find something similar, and then I'll print it out and I'll draw on that, and I'll make notes and I'll like change things and add cut lines, and I'll draw all over the picture and I'll give it to her and she'll like decipher something. And then I've also got this like app that is a really awesome app. It's called PRET A TEMPLATE. I'll show you. So like here you can see I've sketched this out. I just want to zoom in here. So like that is how you sketch on PRET A TEMPLATE, and I use this to sketch stuff. It's really awesome and it's great, like especially if your sketching is rusty. It's really awesome. This is something, let me just see. I'm trying to see what I want to show you. So for example here, let's just say this is a dress from my summer collection. This little dress, there we go. So this is like just like an off-the-shoulder dress and stuff, and like this is really nice, and I'll like make my notes. Oopsie. So there's a rope belt, there's elastic, I'm showing where there's elastic and everything, and this is how I kind of like make notes and give it over so that I can get my pattern made, and obviously from the pattern the sample. But sketching is not essential, guys, like, and you don't need to like hire a separate person to sketch for you, especially with the level of business I'm doing. If I was doing a larger business and doing a lot more, I would then employ people to design and things like that, but at this point it's not really necessary for me. How do you decide on the quantities for each design that you're going to produce? So for me, I have a set kind of quantity. I either go 128 or I'll go 144, and that's pretty much how I do things. I don't first take pre-orders and then manufacture. I don't really work like that. So for me, I decide like so far in advance with my fabric and things that I base my fabric order based on, you know, 150 units or 140 units or whatever the situation, and that's what I work with. So, you know, also I just want to quickly point out is like, obviously money is also a thing, because you've also got to decide how much money you have to put behind each style. So if you know how much you can afford to actually produce, so also think about that and keep that in mind. I'm not saying follow my units also work, because that's enough to feed my stockers, it feeds Xando, it feeds me, and like we've all got enough stock. But definitely keep in mind the financial aspect of it as well. Biggest regret regarding my label. Woo! Honestly, this is gonna be, I know this is something that a lot of people won't understand, my name. I honestly wish if I could go back I would have done things anonymously, and at the same time that makes zero sense, because the only reason I was able to gain like people shopping my, you know, my brand out of nowhere, because people didn't know me, it was because of my blog, and that's how I got people to eventually, like, you know, because of my connections with other bloggers and influencers, I was able to get them to wear my clothes. You know, I was just this like goal with, I think I had like 7,000 followers on Instagram, and I was like, I'm gonna start a clothing brand. So exciting. And geez, it was slow when I first started though, guys. Whoa. But yeah, but if it wasn't for that, like Brett Robson being a blogger, I don't think I would have like even sold anything, kind of thing. Because it did also mean that I had that support from other people. So in some ways I wish my name was not attached to my brand, because I also feel like because people associate me with the brand, they think that like I'm their direct point of contact, which is not the case. For example, like I don't even manage the Instagram account for the brand and for the shop. That's like handled by someone completely different. I honestly only look at that page like maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks maybe. I know that's pretty bad, but I honestly don't really look at it that much. And then when I do look at it, I generally have any pointers, or if I want to say something or whatever. But I know like sometimes people will go on there and be like, hi Brett or whatever, but it's not actually me you're talking to. Also, you know, for example, people will try and DM me like about an order or something. And the thing is, I also feel like we have certain processes and procedures in place, and they are in place so that whether or not I am there, whether I'm in another country, whether I'm sick, or whatever's the situation, that those processes and procedures are in place for a reason, so that everything goes on and continues whether or not PRET is around or whatever the situation is. And sometimes, like, I'll be in New York, for example, and someone's like DMing me like, hi, I placed an order, do you know when it's gonna reach me? And like, they're asking about shipping, and I'm like, I'm not the person, like, you should be asking about this. And then I'll like have to be like, you know, once you like send your order number and your query through, here's the email address, send it through, and a staff member will help you with it. Because also there are definitely situations where I can help, and there's some situations where I am the person helping you, but it's not all the time, and it's definitely not when I'm traveling and I'm, you know, doing things like elsewhere, or I'm not even like there. And then it could also come across as unprofessional, where if I don't come back to you, because honestly, like, sometimes you just forget. Like, if I travel, sometimes when I'm traveling, I don't even know what day it is. And if someone messaged me, like, often, like, my friends know, even my mom knows, sometimes I read messages and I literally just forget about it. Like, I totally like blank out that I've even seen this message, and I'll see it like a week later again, and I'll be like, oh, I should reply to this. You know. So imagine if like a person had messaged me, and then I wasn't in Wi-Fi, or I couldn't get a message through to whoever to help them, and then I wasn't in Wi-Fi, whatever the situation is, you know, and it just creates just such a mess. And I prefer for things to just be done properly. Processes and procedures are so important. But yeah, but sometimes I wish I wasn't like associated to my brand. I know that makes no sense to everyone else. What is your biggest victory regarding personal success? Guys, I do not consider myself as successful. I do not view myself that way. I think I have had some small victories along the way. I think that launching an app was a small victory. I think that the fact that we've been able to do this since 2015 and it's 2019, that is a little success. I feel like the fact that we photograph things on different size models, that is a success, a little victory. But at the same time, I do not see myself as successful. I do not feel like I have reached certain goals for the business. I don't feel like I have reached those points. I think I've done, like, you know, a lot of things that are considered to be, you know, awesome and whatever, but I don't consider myself as being successful. And I think, you know, it also goes back to things like, you know, I remember when Chiara Ferragni was on the Forbes 30 under 30 list, and I said one day I'm going to be on that 30 under 30 list. And I'm now 30, and I was never on the Forbes 30 under 30 list, you know. And it's not to say that I feel like I want that sort of recognition for anything that I've done, because I do feel like I've done some really awesome things. However, I do also feel like I can do so much better. So yeah, so, you know, for me, I'm just always the type of person that I just like, I always just want to push myself, and I want to be the best version of myself. Yeah, so I just feel like I haven't achieved certain goals that I've tried to, you know, that I've put in front of me, and that's what I'm working towards now. I'm working towards, you know, doing those things. But not to sound ungrateful at all. I'm very grateful. I own my own apartment. I owned it in my 20s. I have a car that I don't owe any money for, you know. I'm independent, and I'm healthy, and I'm happy, and I've created a life that I'm very proud of. But at the same time, I'm a very goal-orientated person, and I've never ever been the type of person to just be happy, you know, with what I have in front of me. I've always looked for, you know, wanting more and working towards something else. So once I even achieve whatever goals are in front of me right now, once I take that off my list, there's going to be something else that replaces it. I just want to say thank you guys so much for all the support. I just think, you know, just whether it's you're supporting my brand or supporting me as an Instagrammer and all of that, I'm just having so much fun at the moment with the content I'm creating. you know, I did go through a bit of a rough. The past couple of weeks has been hectic because I had to finalize all my summer 19 stuff, and I was so delayed with it because I just could not make decisions. And that's why it's also sometimes so hard, because, you know, I'm making the decisions myself, and it's hard when I can't, you know, I'm so indecisive and I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And it took a lot longer than it should have taken. You know, I'd already booked my first summer fabrics already, but I hadn't booked the latter part of summer. You know, I'd only booked enough fabrics for like 1-2 months, the first 2 months. And so I had such a rough time, and I was like waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was working at home until like 9, and then I'd go straight into the office and then stay in the office until like 6:30 and then come home, kind of thing. So I was very, very like, you know, just trying to like finalize everything. And that's why I was also kind of working from home here and there, but then I had an intern with me, so I had to kind of be in the office environment as well to be with the intern and to teach her, because that's so important when you've got an intern. You know, you've got to like make sure that they learn something. I'm not taking any more interns for 2019 though, guys. 2020 I've had 2 interns this year, and I cannot take another intern, just FYI. 2020 I'm starting to take interns again. But I just want to say thank you guys for all the support, and the fact that people even like look to me for advice for stuff, like, oh my gosh, like, you know, that's like awesome. And you know, if I can ever help you in any way, I will definitely do that. Leave your comments down below. I think it's so important that other people, you know, see the comments, and you know, they could be thinking the exact same thing as you, and let's keep the dialogue open. I'll repeat myself, if you have not seen the first and second videos, definitely go see those. You know, this is never going to be easy. Clothing is like man-made items, man. Things are gonna go wrong all the time, and I've come to terms with that. But you know, you just gotta do your best and have fun with it. You know, create what you want to create, and think of what you want your brand to stand for. For me, I know what my brand stands for. You know, I just want my customers to feel good and feel confident, and you know, feel trendy, and at the same time not breaking the bank. That's what I want for my customers. And I always keep that in mind, you know, when I'm working on whatever it is that I'm working on. So yeah, always, you know, just keep your end goals in mind, and your customer as well, and what you want for your business, and things should work out okay. And also, don't be afraid to put in the hard work, guys. It's not going to happen overnight. I am like 4 years in, and things are still not going the way I thought they would go. It's a different situation every day, every week. But you know, I'm still just pushing to just get things to the place that I want them to be. So on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, guys, bye.